All right, this video is going to go over the bolt sizes and torque specs to reassemble the front corners of your 2010 Ford Flex. This is the strut mount that has a pinch bolt on it. So we're just going to go from the top to the bottom. Okay, this is your upper strut mount. We've got four bolts here, or four bolts that are coming up here. The stock nut size is 18 millimeter. These are 15 millimeter aftermarket, 41 foot-pounds of torque. Down here at the bottom of the strut, we have a pinch bolt back here, and that nut is 21 millimeters, and you are going to tighten that to 129 foot-pounds of torque. At the rear of the lower control arm, we've got two mounting bolts here. The nut on top is an 18 millimeter. The bottom, which is the bolt, is 15 millimeters. You're going to tighten both of these to 73 foot-pounds of torque from the bottom. They say you're supposed to tighten them from the top, but I don't know how to get a torque wrench in there, so I tighten those at the bottom. This is the front lower control arm mounting bolt, 18 millimeter head. You're going to tighten that to 136 foot-pounds of torque. You need to do that either when the control arm is under load by sitting on the ground, or you by jacking it up to the regular ride height. Then you want to torque this down, so you're tightening that bushing in a relaxed position at regular ride height. This is the lower control arm mounting point on the spindle. The nut here is 24 millimeters. You're supposed to torque that, I believe, to 158 foot-pounds of torque. I couldn't get a torque wrench in there, so I used a 24 millimeter wrench, so it was about a foot long, and tightened that as much as I could by hand, and I called it good. This is your steering linkage connection, ball joint connecting to the spindle. This is a 21 millimeter nut. It's got a 10 millimeter hex at the top that you can use to hold this bolt in place to tighten this nut down, and that tightens to 111 foot-pounds of torque. This is your sway bar link connecting to your strut. This is a 10 millimeter hex here you can use to hold that bolt while you tighten this 21 millimeter nut to 111 foot-pounds of torque. This is a 32 millimeter axle nut that needs to be tightened to 258 foot-pounds of torque. We have a screw here to keep the rotor in place on the hub. This particular one is a T40 Torx screw. They sometimes are Phillips as well. I just hand tighten that. On the back of the spindle here, we have two mounting bolts for your brake caliper. Those are 18 millimeter. You're going to tighten those to 122 foot-pounds of torque. You have your ABS sensor here, and this is an 8 millimeter bolt, and I just hand tighten that. We've got your lugs, your lug bolts here, and the nut is a 19 millimeter lug nut, and those are to be torqued to 100 foot-pounds of torque. All right, so what I did is I took this spindle, mounted the shock in there, tightened that bolt. I didn't go all the way to torque spec, but I tightened it because it's kind of flippy floppy on the ground. If you could do it in a vise, cool. I'll just tighten it later. Get that lower control arm nut on there as well, and you're going to swing this whole piece into place. Have someone help you up top, and what you want to do is guide those bolts through there. Get one nut on, like, 3 or 4 threads, so now this just hangs. You can reinsert the axle in here, and then get this guy in there. Make sure this is lined up here, that part. And then what I did is I took a piece of wood, I was like 4 feet, and I pried this up while smacking it with, I think this is a 2-pound, yeah, this is a 2-pound dead blow hammer, which is great. It doesn't mess up your aluminum. But I was able to work that back into position where I can get those bolts in finger tight. At that point, this guy here was sitting there lined up right here, but it was low. So I put my jack under it, which pushed it into position. Oh, my lights get jacked up there. Yeah. So I took this, I put a jack under there, you can see there, and just gently lifted it, got it into perfect position where I was able to push that bolt through the front all the way to those threads. So that was a huge help. Now I just have to tighten that down. So I hope that's helpful. All right, this front bolt is an 18, and it's a pain to get to. I have this on a wobble socket, or a wobble extension, if you can see the end there. It's tapered, so it gives you about 15 degree of swing. and it allows me to get up here at that angle with my extension. So again, 18mm socket with a wobble extension. You can use one of these guys here, but it might maybe be a little more flippy floppy. That straight extension is gonna keep things more stable for you. Get that breaker bar on it to break this loose. So Godspeed. All right, so to tighten this nut on here, what I did is I saw this in another video. Great idea. Use a pry bar. I got this one from Harbor Freight. I think it's about 2 feet. And you're gonna put it between these two lugs. Don't use this tapered part. You wanna have this tucked in against the surface as much as you can. So it's more of a shearing force instead of a bending force. You don't wanna mess these up. And then rotate it so it's like that. But you also wanna turn your spindle here a little bit. So I've got clearance for my torque wrench up against the body of the car, right? So turn that out a little bit. And then this is a Harbor Freight Impact 32. It came with a set for like 20 bucks. And then this is a $80 torque wrench off of Amazon I borrowed from a buddy. 258 pounds of torque, and this is rated to 250, so I just tightened it a little more to do 258, and I'm golden.